G'day guys, this is Narrows and is from the Character Test Series, Episode 9. Joining me in Villawood, one and only Sarah Ruby.
Hey guys. So something really interesting happened in the last week for Narose and I. We woke up one day and discovered that we couldn't make encrypted phone calls. So we could send messages, but we couldn't actually call each other or anyone else. There's a bit of an incident happening in the background here. It's not uncommon, just ignore it. So we did all the troubleshooting. We tried, deleting the apps, reinstalling them, swapping SIMs around. Nothing worked. And then Rose tweeted about it. And the next day, magically, for both of us, we could suddenly make encrypted calls again. So for me, that seems like a little bit of a coincidence because we have different types of phones. We're on different networks. We installed the apps at different times. So for us to sort of try everything for about 48 hours and have nothing work, and then for Narose to tweet about it and suddenly we can make calls on Signal and WhatsApp again, that just seemed like a little bit much. I don't know what anyone thinks about that. I mean, it could just be a coincidence, but it wasn't happening to anyone else I know. And most of my friends use the same encrypted apps that Narose and I use. So, what else do we need to talk about today? I guess.
I'd just like to add on this encrypted apps issue. I mean, the AA bill got passed the 2019, was it? Or
yeah,
2019. And there was a promise being made by the Labour Party and the Liberals. I think there was some kind of a commitment that they're going to amend it, but that bill hasn't been amended. And I mean, me and Sarah, without a shadow of doubt, are being spot on, but we haven't done anything illegal apart from speaking up against human rights. And you just got to ask yourself the question, what have we become? Like, even China doesn't do that.
Okay, well, China does do that, but that's kind of beside the point. Like, this isn't actually China. This is Australia, and we're meant to be the lucky country, and we're meant to have all of these personal freedoms, and I'm just watching these personal freedoms being slowly eroded away under the guise of protecting Australians from terrorists or something. And I think what we really need to understand is that this is a government that is seeking to control the population, not protect the population. And so when we have all this technology coming in, like facial recognition, and they're saying, oh, it's to target criminals, it's so we can spot criminals, you need to understand, like, this is the same technology that's being used in China to target the Muslim population and to put them, in the detention camps and the forced labor camps. So do we really want to be using the same kind of technology as countries that, have these gross abuses of human rights against millions of civilians? Because we're down that path. We're so far down it. We're almost at the end. The slide into fascism is, I'd say, 98% complete. So I really feel like Australians need to wake up a little bit and be aware that as soon as someone starts touting terrorism as a reason for legislation, that's your warning sign that something's going on that you probably need to investigate and potentially oppose.
Yeah, and as I mentioned in the tweet, that I'm entering my fifth year in arbitrary detention, and arbitrary detention is detention without charge. I've been kept in imprisonment since 5th of October 2016. Against the international laws, against the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, against the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights. I mean, under international law, you can't take somebody's freedom away unless you charge them with a crime, offer them a fair trial, and sentence them to fixed term of imprisonment. In my case, just in a blink of an eye, Australian Border Force made me an alien in a country where I call home. And this the worst feeling in the world is when you're told you don't belong in your own community.
Yeah, I mean, the weird thing is that, every human being is born with human rights, and even in jail, like if one of my friends gets transferred from immigration detention to a correctional facility, I breathe a sigh of relief because I know they'll at least get adequate medical care. And you know, there's a system by which they have to be treated humanely, and we just don't have that in immigration detention. And you know, abuses by companies like IHMS and Serco, they go completely unchecked. And it's really, really strange that, you know, we have companies that are actually above the law in Australia. And it's a systemic, terrifying thing to see unfolding in front of you. And I don't think you can really understand the magnitude of it until, you know, you've known someone in immigration detention for, you know, a lengthy period of time and watched everything that's unfolding, you know, and that's happening to them and happening to the people around them. And it, you know, it's interesting coming in for visits because you see people week after week after week, and you see them slowly getting sicker. You see them either gaining weight or losing weight. You see their posture change. You see them change from a walk to a shuffle. You see that they're just slowly giving up on life. And I completely understand why people commit suicide in immigration detention. I personally would not last 6 months in one of these facilities.
And just on the subject of suicides, I just was thinking the other day, it isn't that a bit coincidental that the most of the people who commit suicide in detention happen to be people of color and people of Muslim appearance? I mean, this is a question to ponder. And you've seen in Madrid the guards, the white supremacist neo-Nazi guards, are flagged. And I wish to point out that these Serco officials are literally above the law. What is the last time you heard about the Australian Federal Police or State Police actually formally charging and prosecuting a Serco official? Never. Because these people, for some reason, are just like Blackwater, that they have got license to kill, so to say, and they're immune from Australian laws. I mean, it takes some kind of brazenness that in the light of audio video evidence, which I posted before, and for the then Serco to turn around and say, oh, well, you know, we asked a guy and he reckons this didn't happen, and he considers the case closed. Like, you can't make this shit up.
I mean, I was literally there. We recorded the whole thing. Like, there's really no doubt. I mean, we've got the actual evidence that happened. And, you know, I believe that nobody should be above Australian law. I mean, if we have laws in this country, they should apply to every single member of the population. I mean, why am I not above the law? Why are the Serco officers above the law? Oh, wait, I said I'd never get into politics. There we go. So yeah, we do have like a really systemic problem here where people are being targeted in violation of the Australian Criminal Code Act. Things are happening in these facilities that, you know, are arrestable offences in the outside world, and yet there's no recourse, there's no justice, and it's quite frightening, actually.
I wish to add that I by no means I'm throwing the whole of Serco employees under the same bus.
Yeah, oh my God, like when I came in today, like they were so beautiful to me because they know that obviously some stuff's happened recently that's been incredibly distressing for both Narose and myself. And, you know, when I walked through the door, I just got the most gorgeous reception, and, you know, everyone was saying, oh, it's so good to see you, and, you know, it's really lovely having you here. And, you know, I've built up good relationships with a number of the Serco staff, and like they are genuinely good human beings. So again, we're not tarring everyone with the same brush, but the organization as a whole and the way the Department of Home Affairs, you know, deals with that organization and makes them immune to prosecution, that is the problem here.
No, absolutely. And the biggest concern is the systemic issue that a Serco officer, a disgruntled Serco officer, will write something against me in a Serco system, and then the Department of Home Affairs would treat it like a Bible. and I've got an ongoing complaint with the Australian Human Rights Commission about just that, because a lodge a complaint, and the Human Rights Commission sent me an FOI copy of what they call an SRAC tool, which stands for Security Risk Assessment Tool. And there were a number of incidents written under my name, which I wasn't even aware of.
The soccer one. Tell them about the soccer one.
So the soccer one, there was an incident where in 2016, while playing soccer, I was the goalie and I got injured. The soccer ball hit my finger and I got injured. And I reported it to IHMS, and IHMS didn't provide me the medical support at the time.
But it was written up as he was involved in an incident, which could be interpreted as, you know, like he got into a fight with someone or whatever, because they don't go into detail. The incident was with a soccer ball.
They literally wrote me as the alleged offender. They actually have written up.
I thought it was the soccer ball was the alleged offender.
I posted it. They've literally blamed me for an offence committed against my own self in other incidents. But here, they called me an alleged offender when I've had a soccer-related injury. You can't make this shit up. That's all.
I just think it's weird that like a soccer ball has more rights than a rose in here.
Yeah, it's that partial. And
I can't even bring a soccer ball in. Like I asked them, can I bring a soccer ball in? Because, you know, like my son is soccer mad and, you know, so is Rose, unfortunately. So I thought that was something that they could do together. And here's, you know, kick a ball around and, you know, do some trick shots and whatever. And they're like, no, you can't bring in a soccer ball. So we've got repeated soccer ball issues happening here.
Yeah, so we've got this systemic issue where Serco is literally above the law. I mean, they're the judge, jury, and the executioner. A disgruntled Serco employee will write up a fabricated story about me, and then the Department of Home Affairs will start taking arbitrary punitive measures against me. This is unacceptable in a democracy.
They will take his points. Like, he needs his points to get, like, basic necessities in here. Which is why I always asked to everyone, like, please, like, to donate to Narose, subscribe to his Patreon.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, like, he is being targeted by officers punitively. Obviously because he's a whistleblower, because, you know, personality-wise, you cannot fault Narose. He's an absolute gentleman. So it's not like he's in here causing problems in the facility. So, you know, if you donate to his PayPal or subscribe to his Patreon, that means that when they take his points because they've made up some BS story about him, he can still make the purchases that he needs to make in order to just be moderately, functionally okay. But I've been on the phone to Narose when he's gone to get his medication, and they didn't realize that I was on the phone to him. This was in another facility, by the way. This wasn't in Villawood. And he was accused of verbally abusing a nurse. Now, they didn't know that I was actually on a voice call on the phone that was in Narose's hand. So the first we heard of this was the next day when he lost his points. And I was like, wait, I was on that phone call, and I notified the facility, and I said, what this guard has claimed happened didn't actually happen, because I was on the phone to Narose when it allegedly occurred, and it was just like a normal conversation, and they still didn't restore his points. So even with witnesses, like Narose said, the Serco officers are judge, jury, and executioner. If they don't like someone, they will do everything they can to make out that person is, you know, causing problems, and they will make life difficult for the detainee.
Thanks, Sarah. And unfortunately, the visiting time is wrapping up as well, so we need to wrap up. This is episode 9, so please kindly, if you can, if you're able and willing, become a Patreon for as little as $3, $1, $2, $3, as little as $5 a month. And we also, in terms of hashtag CBS Serco, we need to take civil stand as a united stand against Serco.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need to take a united stand against Serco.
As a company, not the individuals.
Yeah.
As a company.
Yeah.
What are they doing in this country? Why are they above the law?
Yeah.
Which politicians have shares in Serco?
Yeah.
I mean, these are all questions that we need to ask.
Absolutely. So I've started a register on the website called hashtag CBS Serco. So we'll be designating the human rights abusing, white supremacists, neo-Nazi, Serco guards, Serco guards.
Yeah, we'll call out individuals.
So we'll sanction them.
Yeah.
And
I
Thank you so
guess
much for
thanks for being here.
listening.
And yeah, everyone, please take care of yourselves and each other. We're aware that the fires are still raging. Actually, my neighbor's mother's missing in one of the fire affected areas. So, I've seen personally that this is a really, really traumatic time. Um, and yeah, just if you need help, if you need to talk to anyone, we'll attach the numbers for Lifeline and a few other organizations below this tweet. So, everyone, lots of love. Please take care of yourselves and each other.
Take care, guys. Speak to you soon.